Check, check, check.
Check, check.
We're so close to a holly jolly December. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
I was going to say, you remember when we used to call these the Anthem After Dark? And now
after dark.
Good afternoon.
Just look at us.
Good evening, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 399 of the Anthem podcast, coming to you from all over LA. But of course, Corey is there at the Anthem studios, gentrifying LA one neighborhood at a time. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for listening on your podcast of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/Anthem.
Absolutely right. So, we have a bit of a mixed bag today. And by mixed, I mean two halves of a bag. The first is really good news. The second is really bad news. What do you want to go to first, Corey?
I say let's start with the good news.
You're
let's
a
start
glass
with the happy
half
stuff
full
I've done.
kind of guy. Yes. Okay.
I tried my best.
Good news. It's Thanksgiving, or it was Thanksgiving this past week.
Yes. It was a very nice Thanksgiving. The only thing that was unfortunate about it is that you couldn't join us for the occasion.
Yeah. Yeah.
By no fault of your own, obviously. But
well, I mean, to be fair, it was my choice to not join the celebration.
Yeah.
Also, my choice not to infect or possibly infect everybody with COVID. And that's a responsibility I take very seriously, unlike some people in this world.
Yeah, I feel real bad about your whole situation there, but
Really sucks.
especially bad for, I don't know what other people at your office did, like, you know, if they had plans to go home, if they still went home, or like.
Well, here's the best part. Literally no one else changed their plans. So, you know, we get to be the next source, like quote unquote source, like in news stories where they're like thousands dead because this place decided they wanted to not follow COVID protocols and they wanted to, then just let people go out to all four corners of the planet. So,
Yeah.
But I stayed at home. I stayed in my apartment. I left exactly 4 times. All 4 times were for COVID tests before returning back to my apartment. And I've been here since Wednesday night. And it's not that big. And I'm thinking maybe of adding padded walls. It might help. But in more good news, I got a bidet today. So things are turning up. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to class up the joint a little bit. We got fancy
It's
stuff.
getting
like
fancy in there, yeah.
It really, really is. But
Apologies, by the way, of anybody who might be hearing clipping on Rob's end. That's just
is it clipping again?
Yeah, well, it's different this time. It's just when you get loud, it's sort of like maxing out the now sound.
Maxing it out. Yeah, I didn't plan on getting angry, but you know.
Might have to turn your levels down just a smidge.
That is just me. I'm looking for the yellows. I'm only getting greens. It's fine. But you had a much happier addition to your home over the past week.
Yes.
Not a baby. Not another baby. Just so everybody's clear. We're not looking. We have had the conversation about Irish twins. Corey is not interested, despite the fact that he's Irish, in having Irish twins.
Yeah. My family is out here right now in Los Angeles. We were just part of the reason why we're getting the late record time is because my family has decided to come join me. I've been frozen in this position for quite some
I
time.
I don't know what is going on right now. Oh, there you go.
My family decided to come and see the new child and spend a little time here in Los Angeles.
Well, there was a star in the west, and then they followed it until it settled over a house, gentrifying the neighborhood of.
I'm
whatever
up to
that
my
is.
I'm up to my ears in
Frankincense.
and myrrh.
Do you know what myrrh is, by the way?
It's like it's another type of precious metal, right?
No. So gold is the metal.
Yeah,
Frankincense is a gift.
it's like a spice, right?
Yeah, it's a gift you would give a bride to take to her new home, and
Okay.
myrrh is what they would put inside dead bodies to preserve them.
No, well, perfect baby gift.
Yeah, I was gonna say I apologize. Your myrrh will be coming sometime shortly. But for the Christ child, it was to memorialize the fact that he was precious like gold, and he would be the bride, or I guess we would be the bride, giving. I don't know how that was supposed to work, but then the death and the life. So the myrrh.
Yeah.
It's all very symbolic and absolutely true, and in fact will be repeated once again for the 2020 first. No, yes, 21st. 2021st time this coming December, if you believe that the Middle Ages actually happened and weren't a way for two kings, the Holy Roman Emperor and the King of Italy, to be the... You probably have never heard this conspiracy theory. There's a conspiracy theory that says that two kings said, we want to be royal, we want to be king when the millennium comes, because or not the millennium, the 1000 AD comes, because that will be the year Jesus returns. So they essentially erased 200 years from history, and there was no Dark Ages. It just never happened. We skipped over a bunch of years, made it 1000. It's probably not true.
It makes you wonder, like who the next, like everyone can have their own conversations about the divinity of Jesus Christ and all, but when you die and the calendar changes, that's a thing. Like I'm wondering who gets who in the world's history will be goodly enough to have that that be the day you died is the day we started a new counter on years.
We just went back and counted down up until that point. It wasn't just a year. We started counting down. So I have been formulating, because I have nothing but time, because I'm stuck in the apartment. I have been formulating our next time schedule, Corey, just so you're aware.
Okay.
And I think I figured out the perfect thing to do.
Is this part of your scam? I mean, church?
It's not, but it could be. Actually, that's interesting, and I should try to incorporate it in some way. But it goes off the theory of circadians meaning part of your circadian rhythm, and it changes the day to be 21 hours long. It then groups everything together in 8-day circad weeks and then 6-week circad months, and it breaks down so the year divides just as evenly. Only time will not be real, and it's not really real now. I mean, we've just gone through 2 years where it's not real. But it's even less real. The reason to go to this cycle, by the way, it's not just me being crazy. It's because a 21-hour day actually works on every habitable place in our solar system. So Titan, Io, Ganymede, theoretically Mercury, but probably not. It works there, even though we couldn't go there. Venus, Mars, all of them would be able to break down into 7-hour circuits of 21 hours and then 6-week periods. Then the only difference is how long your year is. And either we would establish a solar year, which was like 12 circuits, or not.
So I don't like this plan, and let me tell you why.
It's really going to cut into the 16 hours of napping that you get. You don't really...
No. I mean, number one, the complaints of there's not enough hours in the day would be very, very consistent for this one.
Yeah. By the way, you would go to work on the same circuit, you would rest on the same circuit, and then you would have free time on the same circuit. So imagine that today you had work during the day, and tomorrow it's going to be slightly earlier in the day, and then the next day it's the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., and it just keeps going, pushing back. So
Here's why this doesn't work for me, because currently under the 24-hour auspices, we still have sunrise relatively at the same time every day, minus the when we jump an hour or fall back an hour.
Sure.
Um,
So for the farmers.
you know, so yeah, for the farmers. So like, you know, tomorrow at 6:30, call it, the sun is going to rise, right? If we're doing this new 21-hour thing, then the next day it would be rising at 9.
Yep.
And then the day after that it would be rising at noon.
No, going the other way. It would be 6:30 a.m., 3:30 a.m., 12:30 a.m., because you lose 3 hours every single day. As it
True. So I mean, like that I don't like this plan because it doesn't become time doesn't feel consistent to me anymore, just based off of the way the sun goes, you know?
You were right. I'm so conceited. I was like, the sun will move itself to be during my day. It's not. It would just seem to be later in the day the sun would rise. And eventually it would be, 10 p.m. in the circuit, and it would the sun would be rising. So it would throw everything off. But here's the thing, and this is something that you spoiled ass fucking white people like you and me don't understand. For most of the world, especially the shift working world, none of the things that we use as indicators even matter. It's what time do I need to go to job number 3, and what time do I get off job number 2, and how much sleep do I have in between. So, under that system, maybe, Corey, you'll remember this time where you were managing a restaurant, and you worked, like 75, 90 hours a week, and it was just like, time has no meaning. I get off when I can get off, and then I go home and I sleep. And if I don't decide to go to a Michelle Branch concert that's in another state and then come back and oversleep by 5 hours, I will be up and at it tomorrow morning at the same time. So in that mindset, what if I told you you only work 7 hours a day and you have a minimum basic income that makes sure that you have enough to live, and we take care of everything? You work one job, and as long as you're working the one job, you get all the benefits.
I mean, I think, having the sun rise at relatively the same time every day would be more important to me than...
And what happens when they ship you off to a slave farm on Titan where you have to mine methane?
Well, I mean, it can't be much worse than Earth right now, so...
I mean, fair enough. They'd have weird diseases on Titan that we wouldn't even know about, but the day would mean nothing to you. Though
I'll say this week being the exception, because my family is in town, and it's very nice to see them.
Good cover.
We were watching the South Park special, which you definitely need to find some time to watch.
All weekend long, I was telling myself, like, all right, I don't want to fall asleep in the middle of it, and my sleep schedule was so fucked, and I was just like, all right, so I'm not going to watch it now. I'll wait and make sure I'm awake, and then I'd forget. And then right before bed, I'd be like, South Park. Well, I don't want to watch it now because I don't want to fall asleep during it. And I just never watched it.
There's this one part that, like, particularly the hardest I laughed was when they were talking about we had an incompetent president, and then the race war, and then just when things started to look like they were getting back together, Space Jam 2 came out, and we all just sort of gave up. And I'm like, it's pretty true.
Yeah,
it's pretty true.
Yeah.
But pretty soon, Rob is not going to be caring whether or not it's light outside or dark outside, because all of his time will be spent with his brand new video game system.
Oh shit, that's right. I already forgot the joy I just experienced by being like, oh, that's right. Oh, yay. So, for all you plebes out there who aren't me, I just want to say up front, I hate pay to play. However, the best $10 I have ever spent was getting Walmart Plus, which let me jump from 470th in the line to 10th. So
nice.
$10 well spent. And I just have to be asking myself, like, who is 350? And they're like, nah, fuck them. I'm not giving them $10. No. I'd rather pay double. So buried the lead. I got a PS5 today. I didn't actually get it today. I ordered it today. It will be here in a couple of weeks. But the only way you could jump the line was to sign up for Walmart Plus with Walmart. And come to find out, it's $10, and they have a monthly option. Like, I didn't have to pay the full year up front. I just paid the month. So my month will run long enough for them to deliver my PS5, and then I will cancel Walmart Plus. But I was just imagining somebody who's 350th in line, and they're like, no, $10? Absolutely not. I'm not doing the pay to play, because I almost was you. And then I was like, fuck this.
You know what I think is probably funny about that too is the guy who's like 350 in line. He's just like, all right, you know what? They probably have 350 PlayStations here.
It is an
And then all of a
online
sudden-
sale. It wasn't in store.
And then all of a sudden he sees his number turn to 351. And
How's it
people are
getting
jumping
bigger?
the line. So
Even worse, they had 349. So he wouldn't have got it the first time, but he definitely did get it when I jumped the line.
yeah.
Poor guy.
Is there any other perks to Walmart Plus, or is there is it just like jump in the line on?
Jumping the line is the big one. They do delivery, which is
Okay.
free. Unfortunately, I don't live close enough to any Walmart. I am one of 10,000 people who live in Hollywood who are not close enough to a Walmart to get delivery. So I can't take advantage of that perk. I could order groceries to your apartment, but I'm not going to do that. So other than that, there is you know when we had to go pick up something from Walmart during the pandemic, I was with you, and we went and sat in that, like, had to sit in a line or whatever. You also get to jump that line. So when you pull up and you say, I'm here, you will be the next order out the door into the car. So I don't hate that, especially because it looks like we might be headed back there. But before we get to that,
it feels like the more and more we we go through this, like I feel like Disney predates like all great ideas here, because like this reminds me a lot of like the Fast Pass in Disney, where it's just like you pay $200 to get in the park, plus you could pay an extra $50 to cut in line like 5 different rides, and it's not like you're ever cut like right to the front, but you're like.
No, it's the
in
time
a line
ticket,
of 20
right?
people
Yeah.
instead of a line of 200 people. So like,
and literally there have been, I remember one occasion when I was there, I think it was when I was there on spring break, and I did the Fast Pass, and I remember the dude in the Tommy Bahama shirt at the end of the line and being like, now fuck this, I'm going to burn one of these Fast Passes on this ride. So I did that, and when I got on the ride, Tommy Bahama shirt was standing next in line, and I was thinking to myself, like, this could not have worked out any better. I figured out that I would have waited in that line with him, and it didn't really change my position. It only changed the fact that I didn't have to stand physically in the line. You basically just queue up to the line.
Your problem was the Tommy Bahama shirt.
To be fair, there might have been 10,000 people there in that exact Tommy Bahama shirt, and I don't remember the guy's face. I just remember the shirt being ugly as sin. And I remember saying to myself, if I ever wear a shirt like that, I hope someone puts me out of my misery. But I'd only wear a shirt like that once I became a father, because fathers are terrible, just all around. Speaking of which, how's the baby, Corey? What's going on?
Great. I will say that both her and mother would like to get to sleep, so we're trying to keep this one tight tonight.
Yes.
So
well, and I was gonna say, so the before we move on to COVID, the only other news, which is a mixed bag, is yet another elder millennial rich guy who makes poor decisions when posting on social media. Now, he has made the good choice of stepping down from that platform. Not the platform itself. Like, he's no longer going to run the platform that is so problematic.
yeah. So Jack Dorsey, who up until today was the CEO of Twitter,
Yes.
also was the CEO of Square before that, has had a pretty interesting life in tech. Is stepping down as the head of Twitter. Somebody new is coming in. I have not committed his name to memory yet,
It's a
and
CTO.
I don't want to.
The CTO.
Yeah, I don't want to bastardize his pronunciation by doing it incorrectly. But needless to say, me and you spend a good amount of our time on Twitter.
Mhm.
It is a vast and desolate hellscape filled
is.
with literally every single opinion known to man.
It is indeed.
It is the type of place that if you spend too long there, it'll burn out the part of your brain that's like able to like understand how normal people think.
Yeah.
Because you only get like hot take artists all the time.
And you start thinking about stuff as if everyone knows, and then you realize, like, oh no, the little echo chamber that I have knows a lot about this, and no one outside of us has any idea this is going on.
I mean, to me, the worst part of Twitter is just like, let's say everyone's arguing about baked beans, right?
Sure.
There's the only opinions you see on Twitter are baked beans are the greatest thing I've ever had. I will do anything I can to have as many baked beans as possible. Or baked beans are the worst thing that's ever been invented, and they're basically Nazis.
Now this is
And there's
human
no
beings.
there's
though.
no like yeah, there's no like hey, baked beans in the right circumstance, baked beans at a cookout I really like, but normally on a day-to-day I'm not a baked beans guy. It's only the polar
Now,
ends of the discussion.
I disagree with you on that because it is very much polar ends, and much like humans, where if I'm just like blah about it, I don't care enough to argue, and everybody wants to get into an argument. But you will occasionally get the, hey, I mean, at a cookout they're fine, but who makes them every night for dinner? And that person will immediately be shouted down by both of the polls about how could you ever eat them, and also why wouldn't you eat them at every meal? They're the greatest thing ever, and that's just
It's
Twitter.
protein. Yeah. It's made of protein.
It's
and then
amazing.
meanwhile the other people are just like, do you know where those fucking baked beans come from? It's Jeffrey Epstein.
They're ruining the environment with Jeffrey Epstein beans. We might as well just call him that. Let's.
Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Cosby together invented baked beans in the late 80s.
Yeah,
No,
so that's
but,
Twitter.
I will say this. I will say this though about Jack Dorsey. He hasn't batted 1,000. That's for
Right.
sure. But I'm almost wondering at this point if the head of a social media company can ever bat 1,000. And the fact that I think that people who are really into Twitter, like really know what it's about, know who Jack Dorsey is, but like
Nobody.
the day-to-day person doesn't know who Jack Dorsey is.
He's
But
Tom.
if you said who
He's
runs
Tom.
Facebook, they're like Mark Zuckerberg. I
Yeah.
hate that fucker. Like there's no like Mark Zuckerberg has like a 2 approval rating, whereas like Jack Dorsey might be like somewhere in the 50s maybe. Mostly because people don't know who he is, and kind of that's a victory. Like to even be so like not infuriating can be like a victory in this small way.
So I think there are 3 type of internet millionaires. So number 1 is Bill Gates. The first type, not that he was first, but the first type, Bill Gates, where they make their money doing something else, and then they try to create some sort of social app and fail miserably. That's one type. The other type, I guess this is social media, not internet people. It's just social media failures. Bill Gates is one. The second kind is Mark Zuckerberg, who all they've ever done is a social media platform, and they've been very successful. They've tried to do other things. Those things have failed miserably. Because you can call it Meta if you want. It's fucking Facebook and Oculus. That's all it is. And the only thing they revolutionize is when they buy a company that's doing something else, and then now they're part of Facebook. The third kind is Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey made his money. You said Square? Was it Square that he was in at the beginning?
I think it started with Square.
Elon Musk made his money on PayPal, and then Jack Dorsey migrated from Square to Twitter, and he was relatively successful with Square, not the best, not the worst. Relatively successful with Twitter, not the best, not the worst. I hope this is a lesson for other people who have made their money in entrepreneurial fashions, like the aforementioned Elon Musk. And I think Elon should look at this and say, Jack made a bunch of money, then started another company, made a bunch of money, and then he's going away. And Elon, this message is for you. I want you to go away. I just would like to not hear from you and not see you anymore. Just go. It'd be fine. We'll be fine with that.
Well, I think that's been enough good news for one day.
Was that good news? Oh, my God. Oh, what's the bad news?
That was kind of sitting on the line, I guess.
What's the bad news if that was the good news? Good Lord.
Well, the bad news. We're in the age of Omicron, which sounds like a new Transformers movie.
I was going to say, wait, Transformers has it? Michael Bay, you've done it again. You remember amazing bastard.
You remember when Delta first became the thing, and like everyone was making fun of like Delta Airlines because it was just like COVID Delta.
First of all, why do we do this? Coronavirus, all of a sudden everybody hates Corona. Delta variant, now everybody hates Delta. Come on, guys. Come on.
I'd love to see the CEO of Omicron somewhere being like, "Oh, come on, come the fuck on."
You just gotta be hoping for Mew. You're like, the next big one's gonna be Mew. They're gonna skip right over us. It'll be fine. Ah, fuck. Well, okay. By the way, I also thought Omicron was a Marvel evil doer, supervillain.
Like
There's Ultron, but I really
like
thought
Thanos.
there was Omicron. Yeah. Apparently not, though. Apparently that's not a thing.
Well, the always the worst part of when a new COVID variant comes out is doing the how bad is this one gonna be? You know, like I think that Delta was so far the only variant that has sort of broken through in a way that like people sort of feared Delta when they didn't fear COVID.
Well, and to be fair, there have been worse ones. Mu was pretty terrible. Lambda, terrible. But they kind of put the kibosh on it where it was first discovered, and it didn't spread. Delta just went crazy. It was very transmissible. Turns out Omicron is as well, very transmissible. So that's good news.
Well, I mean, what I was saying there is like we're still sort of in the early days of Omicron, so it's hard to tell exactly how much more transmissible it is if it is able to evade vaccines. Like there's a lot of theory right now, but there's not a lot of sort of hard fact at the moment, which is kind of, to me at least, the most terrifying time of any kind of variant.
I have a hope. Omicron is Greek letter O, and I keep seeing the O and thinking 0, as in the number of people who will survive this. Excellent. At least we finally know. Now this is going to be it. All you dumbasses killed us all. Thank you.
I'm surprised they didn't just go with Omega.
Omega is essentially Z. So they're working their way through the alphabet. Lambda, Mu, Nu, Omicron.
Well, with enough gusto, we'll get there soon enough.
Listen, there ain't nothing that's going to stop these conservatives from getting us to Omega because, as we know, God is the Alpha and the Omega. So we're going to get there, and then he's going to kill all of us, hopefully.
But the real shame of Omicron now is that it's going to panic a lot of people, and
do you think I'm helping or hurting that?
and not panic anybody. Like the people who weren't panicked before are going to continue not to be panicked.
Yep.
But
hopefully they'll all be dead soon.
I really I just got my booster a week ago, I guess it was.
About a week ago.
And I'm happy I did that now in the age of Omicron, but at the same time, like I just you wonder what, like there's almost a part of me that sort of feels like Omicron and like the ghost story nature of it right now, because like literally anybody who's telling you with 100% certainty that they know anything about this is lying to you.
Yes.
Like it's all theoretical at the moment.
The CDC doesn't agree with each other. There are two guys at the CDC. One says not very transmissible, it's going to be fine. The other one says very transmissible, and there is a chance this could be highly contagious and deadly, like beyond the vaccines. And I'm like, you both work for the same thing. Can we get our ducks in a row?
There's a part of me that wonders if it's just like new variant, let's tell ghost stories, like let's try and make this sound as bad as humanly possible to scare people into the vaccine, maybe. I don't know. Like I really wish I just really wish we could just get together a little bit and try and get past this together, but clearly that's not going to happen.
Corey, I got good news for you. Very good news.
Yeah.
It's only 2 weeks to flatten the curve. So
oh man.
May 2020 was a crazy time. Oh god. Anyway, so part of
flatten
the
the curve.
part of the interesting nature of this is that it kind of came on suddenly. And two things. One, a lot of people are blaming South Africa. Like, we now have a travel ban to South Africa. But South Africa isn't where this started. This is where some of the best virologists in the world are doing spectrum analysis and sequencing as many samples as they possibly can. So it means they find more things like beta or beta variant, which turned into Delta. That was also South Africa. And now Omicron, all found in South Africa. They're trying very hard to sequence. That's why we should not blame them, because they're good at science. Because the U.S., who should be leading this, has a bunch of dunderheads running it, as well as citizenry, and everybody here is stupid.
I I don't even know what to say. I mean, like, honestly, it's like the other one that really amazes me is that if you look at where cases of COVID are happening, it's the United States by a lot.
Yeah,
and
we lead
countries
far and above.
Countries with millions and hundreds of millions more people, billions of people,
Yes,
are below us in the terms of total number of cases. Places like, you would think India got hit really hard during the summer.
Yep.
Really hard. Like right before the vaccines really started being able to make their way to India, things were it was just havoc over there.
They also have 4 times as many people as us, by the way. 4 times.
Right. And also, I think even a layperson who just sort of sees like what the living conditions of some people in India are would say that's not a good
pandemic environment.
That's not a clean environment for a pandemic to like simmer out and die in.
No,
like,
no.
You got people stacked on top of each other. You have, bad infrastructure for wastewater and stuff like that. You would think that this would be, you would see an explosion of cases just based off of the fact that there's so many people and there's so many factors that would allow a virus to spread,
and it did
exponentially.
It did spread exponentially.
It did, but not more than it did in America.
At no time during this pandemic has India, with 4 times the amount of people, had more cases than the United States. And this is not a per capita number. This is in real terms of cases, never surpassed us. Brazil, terrible outbreak, never surpassed us. China, where this is from, not really, but whatever. China never surpassed us, despite also having 4 times as many people.
The one thing I would say though is that I've never really entirely trusted that the numbers out of China are 100% accurate. Nor have I really, to be honest with you, trusted that the numbers out of like Brazil are 100% accurate,
or the numbers out of the United States. I don't trust those are accurate either.
I think the biggest problem in the U.S. right now is that like people will not get tested unless they feel like they're sick. Like,
you don't say, Corey. I ask from my self-imposed quarantine due to exposure.
I mean, like, I have to get tested every so often for work, but it's not like I say, oh, it's Tuesday, time to take another COVID test and just see where I'm at.
Oh, you know who does that? You know who does that, Corey?
The other guy on this podcast?
No. Yes, me. I do that, and yet I am at the will of children who don't understand how their actions impact other people. But anyway, I'm not bitter about it.
Yeah. And as far as traveling goes, guys, I think we don't know what's going on exactly with the variant. We'll see. We'll find out what happens.
I'm sure we will.
But I will, from my completely non-scientific position. So please don't take this as a okay for anybody out there. But I do feel like if you're traveling and you're not getting vaccinated, you're not testing yourself regularly, you're not taking some sort of precaution, you are being very frivolous with other people's health.
Yes.
It's we're at the point now, like I'm almost at the point now where I'm ready to call you can't get on an airplane until you've had the COVID vaccine,
But what if it doesn't help you?
If
what
you
if the
don't,
vaccine doesn't actually stop anything? And also, it doesn't protect unvaccinated people around you like, a newborn.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like well, I mean, at least in that case, I will say this. Something that has made me a little bit more feel a little bit better about this whole situation we found ourselves in is that Rachel has gotten 2 shots during the time where baby Casey was inside.
She was aware that she was there one time.
We know that there's been a lot of science that shows that babies who have been cooked in a vaccinated mother are pretty are showing good antibody response. So I will.
Yes, and she
I would
lucked
hope
out.
that.
She's not one of those super COVID babies that's like 45 pounds. So
Thank God for that. Be moving right out of 6 to 9 months and directly into like kids gap.
what comes after 12 months in kids in baby sizes?
One?
Just a one?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
It's the first of all, there is some 12 to 24 month stuff, but really you go from 12 months to 1T, 2T, 3T, 4T, 5T, and then some brands have 6T. Other ones just start sizes at that point. So that you're probably a ways off.
So it's
from
like
that.
5 to a child small kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, generally speaking.
Yeah.
It's where you have to be less specific because all the kids are just androgynously shaped. So. But travel restrictions. I myself had a trip planned for the spring, which I've now postponed because who knows? Who knows where we're going to be? And also, there is some reports of people who were out traveling now and cannot get back. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be one of those people. I also don't want to fly to the UK and then have them be like, great, 2 weeks of quarantine. Like, well, so my trip is 22 days. That really kind of puts a kibosh on it. Okay, great. Well, when you go to France, it's 2.5 weeks. So get ready. It's gonna be fun.
I think the main reason why I wouldn't want to travel then at that point is just like you spend how much money are you going to spend on a hotel for 2 weeks and unless you like have a friend you're staying with.
Oh, here's the fun part.
And even then, I don't like somebody. There's a maybe one hand's worth of people, like 5 people in my life, outside of the family who is visiting me, and for their own sake and ours, getting a hotel.
Yeah.
I think there's like maybe 5 people in my life who I would say come stay in my house for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like it's just a little bit.
Well, here's
now, granted, if somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to be in town for 1 night," or "I'm going to be in town for like 2 nights
Sure.
or 3 nights or something
Sure.
like that," that list grows exponentially bigger of friends I would have who I would gladly welcome.
But this
But
is
the
what about 2
2-week
days? What
limit-
about 2 days and you have to be with each other the entire 2 days? It's like one night means you got shit to do, and then you'll come crash and we'll hang out, and then you go. 2-week quarantine means it's you looking at me for 2 weeks. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I'm here. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like I'm here. You have to stay here.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna run into each other over the course of.
Well, the good news is everywhere except America, all Western democracies other than America, you don't pay once you're quarantined. The government pays for your where you stay
Oh, nice.
because it's their rule. They're enforcing it. You're stuck, so they pay for it. Outside any prepaid stuff you have. So if I was planning to go to the UK for 5 days, or I think it's 4 days before we move on, I would pay for the first 4 days, and then they would say, okay, so now you have to stay here for another 10 days, but we'll pay the cost. Now you have to pay for food, you have to pay for whatever, but the hotel is on us.
So hypothetically, if I flew to England right now with just 1 night booked at a hotel,
Yeah.
they'll cover 13 more.
So I don't think England is doing the quarantine, but if you went to like
If
Austria or Bulgaria, yes.
I mean, so I could get like the most exclusive 5-star hotel.
Oh no, they'll move
Book
you.
my 1 night.
They'll move you.
Oh, okay, they'll put me.
You don't get the
Put me in
presidential
the
suite.
gulags.
Yeah, I know. You get the room down in the basement next to the ice machine. You're stuck
No,
between
no,
the
no.
elevator.
You pay for that.
Yeah. We'll keep you here if you have to pay for it. We will offset it by, let's see, your room costs $4,000 a night. We will offset it by $20 that we would get the cheapest room. But I'm not traveling. There are people who are stuck. Not a good idea to travel. Don't.
If you really don't, if you don't have to, I would really, caution against it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm right now, I'm not even thinking of getting on a flight until Casey has had all her baseline vaccinations, just like the one she needs, from 2 months on. Like the 2-month mark is where she gets all the vaccinations that like make it safer for her to go out in mixed company, kind of
Whooping
thing.
cough, MMR, all the big
Mhm.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm not even thinking about it until January. But right now in my mind, I would like to be able to go home in January and see uh the people who haven't yet been able to see the baby. But at the same time I'm like it's all hypothetical at this moment,
Yeah.
like
Well, and I would say the best course
and
of
I would
action.
even if I was capable of flying home for like Christmas or something like that, I think I would avoid that even if I could because I don't want to deal with all the people who will be traveling with my
Also, yes, along with, although you would have a
yeah.
baby in the midst of all of that.
I just feel like it would be way easier to book a flight and keep away from people in January as opposed to Christmas,
As someone
Like
with a January birthday, I can tell you that is true. On the 10th, the 9th, it's dead. You walk onto the flight. It's great. But I would say the best course of action for everyone is to act as if your husband slash lover slash whoever he is was involved in some sort of worldwide sex trafficking ring, including an island where children were sex trafficked to. And by that I mean stay in one small place and await the trial that'll probably lead to your death through suicide or other means. But that is what one person in the world is doing. Of course, Ghislaine,
Ghislaine, yeah,
Ghislaine, Ghislaine Maxwell. Everybody knows.
I've never
Jeffrey
felt like
Epstein's
I've
wife.
pronounced it correctly.
No,
so.
not once, not one time. But Jeffrey Epstein's wife or girlfriend or whoever is now going on trial, and she is in solitary confinement in Manhattan under suicide watch.
It sounds familiar.
Why? Why does that sound familiar, Corey? I don't.
Well, because her other half. I won't go with
Whatever he is, yeah.
the better half for sure. Her other half mysteriously did not did not survive the suicide watch
funny
when
thing.
he was.
But she made it to trial. She made it to trial. Trial started today.
Yeah.
The most ambitious judge in the world who said, no. I keep this courtroom running like a clock. We got 4 hours for jury selection, opening statements, evidence starts tomorrow. And at the end of the allotted time for jury selection, they had one possible juror. So that didn't work out as he planned, unfortunately. Mostly because people said they could not be unbiased about the case. When it comes to sex trafficking children, everyone seems to have an opinion, which is weird. Weird that would be the case. Judge didn't anticipate that, I guess. But I was hoping, based on the initial schedule, I'm like, we'd be able to hear opening arguments and discuss that. But turns out not. Yeah. I actually stopped following when at the lunch break they said we have one possible juror. I'm like, this is going to be a long time. It's going to be a lot like the Arbury case from Georgia, which took 2 weeks for jury selection.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
not as long to find a jury. Funny.
Going back to Maxwell here, though. I mean, I think she's gonna have a real tough go of trying to convince anybody of her innocence.
Well, so she's not arguing innocence. She's arguing
Yeah.
that she too was a victim, and under his brainwashing / control, she did do the things that have been alleged, but she was not the one who incited them, and she was only following orders, which worked really well.
I guess my number one question at this point, which will depend a lot on what type of trial we see, is are the lawyers at this moment in a federal trial like this already giving up their witness list or their possible witnesses?
I believe so, yeah. They should have done that.
So that's
pre-trial.
already sort of been discussed with the court. Because, I mean, like, I really think that will tell a lot of the tale of where they choose to go with this. Because
But the federal judge has not released them. He has the purview of whether to make them public or not. And apparently they've been submitted, but they haven't been made public. So we don't know.
Gotcha.
But we will see as we go along.
I mean, there's a lot of high end names of people who could show up talking about what Jeffrey Epstein knew. And, if any of them were called to testify in open court, I think that could make for a very interesting trial.
Yeah, I imagine that's why. The judge looked at the list and was like, oh, no, No. We're gonna sit on this. Gag order on this immediately. No more copies should be printed.
I see the number one name on the list is former President Bill Clinton. Let's see.
Oh, wait.
Let's
Number
see
2
how
on the
this
list,
goes.
former President Donald Trump. Number 3, a Prince of England. No, we're not going to make this public. We will refer to them as Witness 1, Witness 2, Witness 3, and not mention anything else. So that'll be fine.
We'll put them behind the wall, and they'll answer all their testimony through the Vox box.
No, you have the right to see your accusers. Now, that doesn't mean they have to be made public, but it's real hard to get Bill Clinton in a courthouse in New York without everybody knowing. So,
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do.
yeah, I think that it's probably good for Ghislaine Maxwell that she hasn't made the witness list public, because we all know as soon as Bill's name pops on a list like that, Hillary will have to take action.
I'm not saying that people aren't allowed to have their conspiracy theories. And you know what? Honestly, some of the people with their like Clinton crime syndicate things are like, I feel like at some level, like just good, clean fun.
Yeah, sure.
Like it's people who are just trying to have some fun. The people who really think that like the Clintons are out like assassinating people, like it's House of Cards.
Yeah.
I think are a little bit off base.
By the way, some people think she is doing the murdering herself. And I'm like, first of all, she doesn't grocery shop for herself. You think she's going to do a murder by herself? No.
Motherfucker, Courtney Love couldn't even pull the trigger herself. What makes you think that Hillary Clinton's doing it?
Well, Hillary Clinton has no soul, so it's easier for her. She also doesn't get her hands dirty, though, so it's a mixed bag. Who knows?
I mean, I just think that, you know, like, there's a level of ridiculousness, though, that, like, you know, the Clintons have, like, fucking 15 bodies on them or something like that. Like
it's almost to the Rob Dyrdek level of ridiculousness, honestly.
We need to get what's-her-face on there laughing like an idiot.
Chanel West Coast?
Yeah.
I used to be able to do her laugh. It's like a dolphin. It's like... It's like Fran Drescher and a dolphin. That's what it is.
It's like Fran Drescher and Peter Griffin fucked.
Yes. And the offspring was half dolphin. For reasons. But as I mentioned, there was another important trial.
Yeah.
The Arbury Trial wrapped up in Georgia. And it took them 2 weeks to find a jury. And it took the jury 2 days to find all the defendants guilty of something. Not all guilty of the same crimes, but all of them were guilty of something.
Well, I will say this. I think if this case was happening at any time other than right before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
it might have taken a couple more days than.
You think
than
everyone's
they
like
gave.
11 to 1. George, the fuck, man? We talked about this. I got a
What, you
turkey
don't like-
waiting.
You don't like turkey, George?
Listen, I hate your guts, but I'll invite you to my Thanksgiving just to give you something to do so we get the fuck out of this room.
The charges or the eventual verdict here found all of them basically guilty of everything, with the exception of the two. Only one man was the
Malice murder.
It was like malice murder as opposed to like, it's like depraved heart in some places,
Yes.
right? And like
Premeditated in some jurisdictions, but the malice
or
murder
first
is,
degree, or
yes, first degree. It's a first degree murder. The one who actually pulled the trigger, and I can't tell them apart. They're all white guys of varying ages with weird
the
names.
one who testified
Yes.
was the one who got the
Malice murder.
the first degree murder. Yeah.
Then his father got second degree murder, third degree murder, and aggravated assault.
Yeah.
But he was found innocent on the kidnapping charge because he didn't actually get out of the car and like box him in. He stayed in the car, or the truck. And then the third guy didn't get malice murder. He didn't get second degree murder, but he got third degree murder as well as assault and kidnapping because he did get out of the truck. He said he got out to record initially, but he didn't stop it. Let's just say that. So
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are talking justice.
Yeah.
That there's justice served here. And I think people have a different conception of what the word justice is. To me, justice is this type of thing doesn't happen anymore. Like, like
Yes.
we don't ever have another trial where anything like this ever comes close to happening.
Yeah.
Because the people who would potentially do the crime know that they are just going to be dead to rights if they get caught and this goes to a jury and stuff like that.
Yeah, whether you're a cop or not. Like, we got one cop convicted. That doesn't mean that the problem goes away. We got one set of people convicted.
Yeah, Derek Chauvin wasn't justice. Derek Chauvin was an individual act of judicial good doing, I guess. Like,
well, it was justice for George, but it wasn't justice as in equaling the weighted balance between law and order.
Not justice for the country. It was
Yes.
justice for this incident.
One incident. And what we want to have is that happen every time. Then we have a justice system.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about the we talked about it when it happened. It's you know, this whole incident was beyond the pale. The whole incident with George Floyd was beyond the pale.
Yeah.
And it was, if you couldn't see the problem with what the eventual guilty parties in both those cases did, then you were missing the forest for the trees. You know, like you just didn't understand.
Now, the other problem is we should not miss the trees for the forest, because Kyle Rittenhouse is the other side, where, yes, legal experts were saying this was the expected outcome because Wisconsin has the law that they do and the rules that they do. That doesn't mean it's right. It just means that the law was followed. The problem here is the law, not the fact that any incident happened.
Yeah, I mean, I like I like Stephen Colbert's take on it, where he's like, yes, just because he was found innocent based off of how the law was written.
He was found not guilty, by the way, not innocent.
Well, yeah,
innocent means you didn't do the thing you're accused of. Not guilty means we have no legal holding on you.
Excuse me for my misspeak.
Yes.
But just because he was found not guilty, doesn't mean that like justice was served here. Justice was done right. It should be more of a case that why is this allowed? The law should change, not the. And I do think that we will find the law changing in some ways based off of this, because I don't think it's be careful what you wish for, because like we talked about it with the Texas abortion case. They opened up the door for vigilante enforcement of laws, and that could extend to right-leaning issues like gun control or something like that. And I don't think I think the Mississippi case will be the real the real moment at the OK Corral for abortion in this country. I think the Texas ruling will eventually be overturned just because.
Well, it will be overturned.
They don't want to leave this.
The Mississippi decision. They will come out with a decision, and it'll say, here are the new limits, and Texas inevitably will be too far for that. So it'll be them by proxy be found to be unconstitutional.
In violation, yeah.
But Texas will then immediately change their law to match the maximum possible under the Mississippi decision, and that'll be it. But again, it's a dangerous precedent because I imagine states like Mississippi and Texas will be changing their stand your ground law, because they have something that's modeled after Georgia, and they will look at that and say, no, these guys should have been innocent. They were making a citizen's arrest and stand your ground. They get allowed to stand your ground. So now you don't even have to announce that you're making a citizen's arrest, because that was one of the flaws. You have to tell the guy, I'm holding you until the police come. Otherwise, it looks like kidnapping. So those laws will change.
I mean, all I'm saying is, like right now, across the country, California in particular, there's been a rash of these like high-end thefts that are going on.
Good.
Where 80 people all get out and start like ransacking different high-end stores and stuff like that.
Good.
This is a opening on the Kyle Rittenhouse case is the opening for all of a sudden a well-organized group to go and do a similar thing in in vigilantism, basically.
Not in California, though. Not allowed in California. Thank you, Black Panthers. Kind of in reverse, because they made laws to stop the Black Panthers, and then now those laws are being used against gun owners. So
Yeah,
that's fun.
one quick thing before we get off trials. I just wanted to put this in people's minds. We're not at the point just yet where we will have a verdict in the Elizabeth Holmes trial. That's
Right.
probably still a week away, but we will get into that one when it reaches its conclusion. There have been a lot of great podcasts that have been sort of following the blow by blow, and I don't want to disrespect what's been going on in this case by giving just 1,000-foot view topic or thoughts.
As you can tell, we do opening of trial and then discuss what happened in the trial. That's
Yeah.
it. So,
But we will definitely get into that one as well. That's another. We've had a lot of high end legal cases going on this fall and winter.
Good.
So
good.
yeah.
But also, I have no qualms about the fucking stores. I had the thought today. You remember RoboCop and like this dystopian future where crime was run rampant, and they always made it seem like, oh well, this is because Law and Order broke down. That's why we need RoboCop, right? I think what we're seeing is it's not because Law and Order breaks down. It's because people are so poor and desperate that they just don't care anymore, and they realize if you overwhelm the system, most of us get away, and we're fine. If not all of us get away, and we're fine.
I mean, I think that I'm not condoning large end robberies and stuff like that. All I'm saying is that a lot of these people, I think, didn't think this one through as much because, for instance, one of the videos I saw, dozen people invading an Apple store.
Yeah.
And people shoving iPhones into the bag and then running out. All I'm saying is they got GPS on them fuckers.
Well, also,
they're gonna find where that phone went to.
It's like
and then
stealing gift cards from a supermarket. They're not activated yet, idiot. You can't do anything with them.
Number two, they can do something with it. Don't you worry. Apple ain't that dumb. Number two, all it takes is for them to find one person.
Oh yeah.
And then find the means by which they connected with the other people who were, because it's not like all of a sudden a dozen people decided to randomly choose to overturn an Apple store.
They met on the street right outside. Like, you want to rob this place? Like, yes, let's do it.
It originated on the internet. There was a message board where this was being discussed.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing you want to avoid in any case is the extra charge of the conspiracy.
Right.
Because that's usually where you're going to find yourself fucked because somebody's going to talk.
Also, we found no products on you. We have no proof you were there. However, you're part of this discussion, so welcome to conspiracy. But I didn't even go. I skipped that day. I was sick. Doesn't matter. You're part of the conspiracy.
Sorry, conspiracy holds 15 years in this state.
Yep.
Well, what can I do? Give the names and addresses of all the people you know who are involved.
Who told you they were definitely? Who offered you a ride because they were definitely going?
We have just a few short minutes here.
I skipped over everything else. None of it mattered. Let's just go straight to your weekly section.
Sports ball ring.
Just trying to get you to say the word so I could trigger it.
Yeah. So first of all, Ravens played on Sunday Night Football.
They did. It was an
amazing
amazing
game.
Oh. I didn't get to watch it because I was stuck in my apartment in quarantine.
Yeah. It was an awful game. But I would also like to say to other people who I listen to a lot of, NFL podcasts and people who break down the game and they're talking about how shitty this game is. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to deny it. It was a pretty sloppy game. But I also would like if every once in a while when people discuss how sloppy this team is when it's playing with a lot of third and fourth string guys who are filling in for injury, of course it's sloppy. You don't have the cream of the crop out there.
Also, we know the Ravens play down to whatever team they are playing against. They could almost beat the Chiefs and then also almost beat the Browns. That's how that works, or barely
Yeah.
beat the Browns.
So yeah, I mean the Ravens right now are the number 1 seed in the AFC. So surprise, surprise. But I really think it'll come down to, it's all about the playoffs at this point. We got the Steelers next week. We got the Browns again the week after that. But this team will make the playoffs. It seems. I'm not saying they're going to win the division and be number 1 seed and everything like that, but they will make the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. Like it's a crapshoot once you get there.
Everybody else looks pretty terrible, also. So that's good. That's all good news.
I mean, like, there's not one team in the AFC or the NFC where I'm just like, I don't think the Ravens could beat them on a random Sunday. Like nobody is a juggernaut,
except for Tom Brady by himself in Tampa Bay.
And in the case of the NFC. There's like 4 teams that are in the playoffs that I think are decent to good to better than most teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 7 total teams that make the playoffs in each conference. There's 3 teams that do not deserve to make the playoffs in the NFC.
But
and you
any
look
given
at the
Sunday,
people in the hunt.
Any given Sunday.
You look at the people in the hunt, and they got like the fucking Panthers are still like hypothetically in the playoff race, and you're just like, no way.
Even if they were statistically eliminated, they brought Cam back. I would say they're statistically eliminated, but they're not out of it. Let me tell you how.
Oh, they're out of it.
Cam Newton is going to rip that shirt, and you're going to see a real Superman label underneath, and then...
That Superman shirt ain't doing anything for you when you're 5 for 29 on Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to say, his second week wasn't nearly as good as his first week. What are you gonna do?
His first week was only like 5 passes.
But compared to what they had the week before, it looked amazing.
Final thing. We had talked a little bit about this way back when the Rams had moved from St. Louis to Los Angeles. This week,
there's a wind coming. That's what we said. There's a wind coming. Just wait.
This week, there was a settlement between the city of St. Louis and the NFL.
$14
in the case
parking for 20 minutes.
In the case of the Rams being moved out of town.
Yes.
And you know what? I think this case is very interesting because it sets a lot of precedent for teams that move in the future.
Yeah.
This was about as dirty as it gets as far as a team taking advantage of a city.
Yeah.
So just a couple quick points so people understand what I'm talking about here. They settled for $700-something million, which is basically, we're going to give you this money right now because we know that if we go to court and we lose, we could be looking at billions in dollars in judgment.
St. Louis County, where we would go to.
St. Louis, where the trial would happen. Yeah. And that is not something the NFL wanted to do, especially once they realized that Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, who initiated this whole problem, had said it was his understanding that when he agreed to pay any legal expenses that came with the Rams moving, he only meant the legal cost of the lawyers who would fight the case, not the judgment that would come with it.
God.
And then all of a sudden, all these owners are looking at each other like, I got to go 132 on $2 billion because Stan Kroenke said no? Like, what the fuck are you saying?
Stan, what the fuck, man?
Some important points to this. Number one, it came with no promise of an expansion team for St. Louis. I know a lot of football fans in St. Louis were looking for that. It seems like the city of St. Louis is committed to being a Cardinals and Blues town and not being involved in the NFL anymore.
The baseball Cardinals.
The baseball Cardinals.
Hey, Missouri's got another team. You're fine.
Listen, they had a football Cardinals, and then they decided to leave too. So, and then what is so jarring or so galling about this whole thing, which everyone should look at as a way to possibly get these kind of judgments in the future. Stan Kroenke, the owner of the St. Louis Rams at the time, before St. Louis even had an opportunity to propose a new stadium, Stan Kroenke bought the land for the stadium that would eventually be SoFi Stadium in Inglewood.
He is a businessman, Corey. He could buy that land for a lot of reasons. You don't know that it was for a stadium.
Yeah, except for it eventually became the home of the stadium. Like, and there apparently were emails that were already part of Discovery that showed owners basically saying that none of the rules were being followed as in
Yeah.
terms of like how a team is supposed to position themselves to move. There was no negotiating in good faith with the people of St. Louis on getting a new stadium.
Yeah.
It was basically discussed openly that no matter what St. Louis proposed as a stadium, it wasn't going to be good enough. They were going to say that it wasn't good enough.
Yep.
This is, negotiating in bad faith is pretty much the open and shut discussion of what happened here with St. Louis and the Rams. And I'm glad that the NFL is going to have to dig deep for that $700-something million and pay St. Louis almost immediately because they did wrong. They did wrong.
To be fair, though, this doesn't need to set a precedent because New York has 2 teams. LA now has 2 teams.
For now.
Florida has professional football for reasons that defy imagination since they don't like professional sports in Florida. So no one's going to have to make this kind of move.
Not only do they have teams, but they have 3 of them.
Which makes no sense. They can't fill one NFL stadium if Tom Brady's not playing.
Yeah.
And even sometimes
there is as many professional football teams in Florida as there is in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
do that math.
Chew on that.
Yeah. Now, there used to be 4, yes, but Oakland, not a football town either. St. Louis, you've learned. You've learned. We're a basketball and hockey town. That's what we're going to say.
Baseball and hockey.
Baseball and hockey.
Yeah.
Yes, baseball and hockey. I was going to say Oakland is a basketball and baseball town.
Except for not basketball anymore because the Warriors decided to play in San Francisco instead.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that sucks.
Poor Oakland. I feel bad for Oakland. They're going to lose their baseball team, too.
Yep. In like 3 or 4 years when that comes up.
Not even. Probably. This might be the last year of baseball in Oakland. They're having a conversation about a new stadium in Jack Loudon Square. That is probably the last bastion of hope for the A's to stay in Oakland. And if that doesn't pass the city council, if that doesn't get voted by a ballot measure or whatever it has to go through, the A's are basically Vegas's team to lose at that point.
Plus, I'll mention, based on the people I follow in Oakland, it's not going to pass, and nobody cares. They're like the activists. They're like, why are we spending this money? And they're fucking right. Why would we spend $1 billion on a stadium? Who needs baseball that much? I'll go to San Francisco if I want to see baseball.
I mean, I understand where people come from with that conversation. I would say this: there is not a sports team raises the prestige of a city in a way that almost nothing else does. A high-end art gallery doesn't bring people in from all over the world like a sports team would. Like the Jets make more money than the Guggenheim Museum, and the Jets fucking suck.
Yeah, but by the way, you and I could go to the Guggenheim like 3 times a week if we wanted to. We could go to the Jets like once in a lifetime. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, if Oakland wants to be considered a top flight city, you have to have sports teams. That's basically that's how people will recognize cities within a state. Like,
just keep in mind when the crumbles happen, Oakland's the place to go.
If you ask people, name as many cities as you possibly can in California, you're going to come up. The names that people will come up with are all the names of cities that have sports teams.
Bakersfield, Sacramento, yes, San Diego, all major sports towns.
Well, Sacramento and San Diego both have sports teams.
Oh, no, they don't.
Who's
in San Diego?
The Padres.
I said sports teams.
Not sad, hapless losers who can't make it.
Who take our draft picks. Assholes. Overpay them. Not overpay them, but pay them more than us. Anyway,
if you want to see more baseless assault on the San Diego Padres, you know where you can go.
Where's that?
theanthem.com, Corridor theanthem.com, with the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. I would tell you can find me at my website, but you still can't. Can I just real quick? I have nothing else to share, so I'm just gonna put this out in the universe. I have been desperately looking for a way in which I can get a website builder that will allow me to do a organizable chart where you could have all of my credits, like all the things that I've worked on in one big list, and then if you click the button, it would just show the features, or it would just show the shorts, or it would just show the music videos, or just show the whatever. Like, just be able to, like, organize a chart on a page, because that's all I really want out of this website.
I just want to say, the time it took
it
you
seems
to
like-
search, you could have learned JavaScript in that time and made it yourself.
It seems like an easy thing to ask, but apparently none of the major website builders offer this type of thing. And I could learn JavaScript, but also at the same time, I kind of just need a website where I can go on there and futz with it, as opposed to have to figure out how to recode my website every time I want to make an adjustment.
You don't
I'm
have
trying to make
You'll
this
know
easier
how
on
to
myself.
recode it. You don't have to.
But-
You'll know the whole thing.
Facebook.com/Corey Baker Film, at LegendsCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
I got so frustrated I went away from OBS. You can find more of me at Robert and Cheek on all social networks. RobertandCheek.com is available, coded by moi. You can find links to all the stuff I'm working on. And of course, the thing I do more than anything else is stream Call of Duty on Twitch, twitch.tv/Robert and Cheek. And of course, come play with me. Anku Curious, that's ANKOUKERYS on Activision, and Robert and Cheek on PlayStation.
We're only a couple weeks away from that PS5 action going on there.
Oh my god, it's gonna be such an upgrade! I forgot. You just reminded me. Ah! I'm so excited.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
You know, I'm in a good mood now. I'm gonna say we've done something. I don't know if it's good.
It's a step up from where we usually are. It was
But as
done with
always-
pep and vigor.
That was the change. It wasn't so much that anything content-wise
Nothing
changed. I was
Nothing
upbeat.
changed. It's the attitude.
Yes. But as always, you're listening to the OD the podcast, part of the OD Anthem Digital Network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
So, are you thinking about doing the fancy clothes for the PS5 like Roberto wants you to do?
No.
Like the specialized skins and the
Wrap? No,
like
I
new
also don't care.
plastic pieces and
Yeah, I have 2 pieces of artwork hanging on my walls. I have literally no care for that. Also, unlike Roberto, I'm an adult man, so